This next video we're going to look at adding in a text box, a button, and then using that button to open a second form, so adding a second form and opening that form too. So the first thing I want to do is to ask the user when they open up this quiz to type in their name. So I'm going to create a new label and say please enter your name. There we go. Now if I want, I could go and change those that font, so I'm going to make it the same font type, but I'm not going to make it particularly big. Please enter your name. Now I need a space for the user to enter their name. If you want the user to enter some text, you use a text box. So again, in this common controls, it's alphabetical. Down the bottom is text box. So I'm going to draw out a text box. There we go. And this text box will use to allow the user to enter their name. Now again, there's certain properties. I'm going to change the font, so when they type in, they're typing in using the font that we've used. Otherwise, at the moment, I'm not going to change anything. So there's just a bit of space for them to enter their names. Now at this stage, we can have a go at running it and seeing what happens. So I've drawn out my quiz form. I've got my title, my line. I've got a label saying please enter your name. Actually, I might put that there. It looks a bit more sensible. Please enter your name. So same as with the console application, the green triangle is what we use to run the program. So I click on it and the window should appear. There we go. So it's a window. I can drag it around. I can please enter my name, so I'll put my name in, and there we go. That's all I can do at the moment. Not the most exciting program. And I can close it. Right, so now what I want to do is create a button which will open the next form. The next form eventually will be a form that starts the quiz. So I go to the top of my toolboxes and I'm going to put in a button. Now I'll draw out the button, let's make it nice and big, and I'm going to go to the properties with the button selected, go to the properties and go to text. I'm going to put start quiz, and there we go. Now again, lots of properties. I'm going to change my font to match the font that we have elsewhere. There we go. If I wanted to, I can change the colour, so I could, the back colour at the moment, I did the dark red, didn't I? So I could do a dark red and start quiz. It's not the best layout, not the nicest colour scheme, but for the moment that's fine. So there we have a button. Now before we go any further, we need to go back and do some naming. Just the same as identifiers in all our console applications need sensible names, all of these controls need sensible names. If I go back and click on the quiz, so this is the very first control we put in, the label, and come down to the properties, you'll see at the moment it's called label 1. Now that's not a great name. I think you'll probably agree. So we're going to give it a sensible name. So in the properties we go down, accessibility, appearance, keep going down until you get to design, and you can see that it has a name. So this is the label, LBL, title. So when you're labeling controls on Windows forms, you need to initially, the first part of the name is to give an indication of what type of control it is, in this case a label, followed by an identifier. So here we have LBL title. So if I go click off it, click on it, you'll see at the top now it's called LBL title. The line, I'm going to call it line shape title bar. There we go. I've got another label here. This is going to be an LBL enter name. I've got a text box. It's called Textbox 1. Text box is going to be TXT enter name. And then I've got my quiz button, currently called button 1. I'm going to call it BTN Start Quiz. So now, when I click on a control, if I see a control name, I can have a good idea of what it's about. So when I see BTN Start Quiz, I should know that it's the button that's going to start the quiz. Right. The last thing that I need to rename is the form. The form is currently called Form 1. That's not the best name ever. So let me right click on that and rename. Now when you're renaming, if I call it main quiz form, you must put the VB in at the end, otherwise it gets very confused. So main quiz form.vb comes up with an error message saying, be careful, as long as you've got the VB in, it should work. And it doesn't come up with any errors. Phew. So there we have now everything named sensibly. We can now move on to doing a second form.